I've been working with married couples for 17 years. Nisa, I've been married for 23 years, and I am super pro marriage. I believe in it. I think it's great. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think we've made marriage way too complicated for a lot of us. And so tonight, we just want to dive in a little bit and start thinking about what does it take to have a great marriage. But one of the things as we've focused on marriage that I'm a little confused by, I'm just going to be honest, is how we start our marriage. Weddings. In this country, we are fascinated, for some reason, by weddings. And when I mean we, I mean mostly ladies are fascinated with weddings, right? Last year in this country, we spent $72 billion on wedding ceremonies. We should be protesting this, people. This is not okay. That breaks down to 30 grand per wedding, unless you're in Buckhead, about 60 grand. Yeah, and some of you dads are in here goes, well, they got off cheap because it's just expensive, but it's the crazy wedding thing and it's what we do because we're kind of fixated on that because it's something we know, right? Wedding dress, $1,281. Wedding ring, $5,800. Some of you ladies are going, hey, where's the rest of it? Right, isn't it? But it's crazy what you do on the crazy wedding train. No one's asking questions here, but in all fairness, we got caught up in the whole big wedding thing. By we, I mean her. When we met, I had hair. I guess I tricked her, didn't I? Yeah, the funny thing about that, she and her girlfriends went on this, girls' night out, and they all brought their wedding photos, and she calls me, and she goes, they had the best compliment about you. And I said, yeah, what is it? And she goes, you got voted most improved. Thank you. But we got married in 95 when everyone's marriage or everyone's wedding was basically the same, same invitation, same unity candle, those kind of things. Nancy says she's glad that we got married before Pinterest pressure, the portal of anxiety. Yeah, now it's not enough for your wedding to, be expensive. It's got to be unique, it's got to be folksy, and it's always got to involve a chalkboard. Choose a seat, not a side. We're all family once the knot is tied. Whatever. Well, that's reality, but if you put it on the magical wedding chalkboard, it's got to come true, right? And not only are, the mother of the bride, the parents of the bride spending all their money on a big ceremony, we all get involved too. We spent $19 billion on wedding gifts. I've never understood for the life of me why we buy $60 plates for people who cannot afford ramen noodles. But that's what you do on the crazy wedding train, right? And then what do we do after that? We go on the best vacation of our lives when we need it the least. $8 billion on honeymoons. Are you kidding me? But here we are. Oh yeah, in Jamaica. Because that's what you do in the crazy wedding train. I was working at a church making $500 a month with a $217 car payment, and we're in Jamaica. Because that's what you do, right? And I'm gonna be really honest, since we're all, adults here. These two people right here, we really didn't need Jamaica. We needed a room with a lock. Let me show you who needs Jamaica. Us 23 years later. And 3 humans that did not exist before we got together. I find it quite appropriate that there is a horse's butt in the background. Yeah, it just gets crazy, but that's what you do. But when the wedding turns into the marriage, we're not quite as sure. I actually broke the internet. I Googled, what do people spend on their actual marriage? Guess what? No stats come up at all, just wedding stats. When was the last time you Googled something and nothing came up? Right? It's fascinating to me that we can pour all the billions into there, but when it gets to marriage, we're a little bit confused. But before you call me a complete cynic, I think that weddings should be special days. I really do. I just don't think they should cost more than a man cave. A man cave, the place that a guy's got to go when he doesn't understand what's happening to him. That's an important environment to create. But I'm not a cynic because I think the great thing about weddings is there's something in us that know that weddings are a really big deal, that 2 people coming together as one person, that's a really big deal, and it really needs to be celebrated, and we really want to end up here. We want to end up here. We want to have someone to grow old with. I told Nancy, I said, oh, honey, look at this picture. Look at this. We're at this flea market, and I took this picture. I said, look, honey, I want us to be out and about. Even when we have to hold each other's hand and have 2 canes to get down the road. I said, even when you're wearing seasonal clothing. Because let me let you in a little secret about this lady. It's never in the history of the world has a woman walked out in a Halloween sweater and husband goes, whoo, that's hot. Even when you got a trick-or-treat outfit on, even when it takes a belt and suspenders to keep up my pants, me and you were out and about. That's what we want, right? But weddings, when it turns into the marriage, it gets a little bit more confusing, right? Because things are, like our true colors start shining through, right? When we were dating each other, we weren't really dating each other. We were dating each other's PR department. Yeah, we always looked good, smelled good. We listened really good, didn't we? Really? That is fascinating. I could listen to you talk all night long. Right? And then we get married and we go like, hey, I didn't know in the mornings that my Cinderella was more like the wicked stepmother. And I didn't know Prince Charming tooted into bed. Yeah. Things come up like chores. Stats show that couples fight about this a lot. Like, who's going to do chores? You know, we come from 2 different families, and maybe dad did something there, and your dad did it this way, and that gets a little bit confusing. A lot of times, people that are, really, really neat will marry people that really, really aren't. I grew up mostly with my dad and my brother. We were like bears with furniture. And I married a very, very neat and tidy woman. Our junk drawer has dividers, which I've tried to explain to her, but it makes it by its very essence not a junk drawer. You want to freak her out? Come over to our house and open up a cabinet door in the kitchen about this much. She will put a dart in your neck. And there's some tension there, right? And these tensions can last for a long time. From those of us who've just been married a little bit to those of us who've been married 56 years, it just keeps happening. And then there's issues like time. How much time are we going to spend at home? How much time are you going to spend at work? How much time are we not going to spend at your mom's? Like, how's that going to work? We see being on time a lot of times differently. For some of you, being on time was being here, at like noon today. Some of you just got here and you're feeling pretty good about it. Yeah, a lot of times we marry our time opposites. How many of you have married your time opposite? Yeah, that's not fun. And then, a lot of times, spenders will marry savers. Someone's getting freed up in the house of Jesus over there. Yeah. But all seriously, spenders will marry savers, and savers will rob joy from the spenders. That's how that works. How many of you have heard of Dave Ramsey? Don't cheer that fool on. He is systematically robbing people of good times. I'm writing a new curriculum. It's called Ramsey Busters. Living like Jesus is coming back tomorrow. Anybody in? Anybody? Yeah. It's a really short class, lasts about 5 minutes, and then we go to the mall. It's fantastic. It's great. Yeah, but this can be a tension, right? A lot of times we marry our money opposites. Wow, that can be a problem. And then a lot of times we'll go, I know what would make all this make more sense and be more delightful. Let's make some humans. Not all of us, but a lot of us made that choice, right? How many of you have a newborn? I always like to say to people, right before they have a newborn, that God, when you have that first one, it's like someone giving you a coyote. Now that's some truth, right? And you don't sleep. You know how crazy you get. You're not sleeping. We have a lot of young couples that work in our office, and I'll see them and go, new parents, how you doing? How's the sleep? Is it going okay? And they're like, last night we got a long stretch. We had a solid 45 minutes. We're feeling we're feeling really good about it. But yeah, you start kind of going crazy with that, and you wonder if you're ever going to sleep again. And then they hit the terrible 2s and the terrible 3s. Our kids all lost their mind at like 4 for some reason. Anybody? 4? Nancy and again with her girlfriends, they're out on a play date with the kids. You know, they go to Chick-fil-A and they have that legal cage called the Play Center. She calls me and she said they were sitting there, her 2 girlfriends and their 3 little boys are all playing in the Play Center. And she said she looks out the corner of the eye and she sees our friend's little boy come out the bottom of the slide butt naked. And she starts freaking out, and of course his mom did, and they're looking around, and then she looks, and her other friend's little boy comes out the bottom of the slide, butt naked. And then we all know what happens now. Our kid comes out the bottom of the slide, things you didn't think you'd ever say in church, right? They come out, butt naked. And she said they are freaking out. Here they are with 3 little naked boys and Christian chicken. She is like, where are your clothes? And then all the kids go, at the top of the slide. So Nancy has to go up the slide, she gets close, she comes out the bottom of the slide and she's butt naked. Turns out it was a magic slide. Anyway, so get them all dressed. She calls me, and let's just say has not moved into the funny category just yet. She says, I have already talked to him, but when you get home, you're gonna need to talk to him again. I'm thinking, I'm not sure that's a good idea because I kind of think it's awesome. But I got myself together and I was like, hey buddy, listen, you can't do that. Why did you do that? He looks me straight in the eye and he goes, because daddy, we were playing penguins and penguins do not wear clothes. I went, he's got a point. She didn't think he had a point, right? But it gets crazy. We got kids and there's all this pressure to make sure they're in athletics and that they're killing it at school. And we see all this, you know, all the school projects. Here's when I know it's project day at the elementary school. When you see men in their business attire pull into handicap parking and get out a solar system. You know why they do it? They won't even let their kid bring it inside because they built it and they don't want anything to happen to it. Yeah. Our kids come in with just stuff you can't even identify. But we feel all this pressure, don't we? And then we get teenagers. How many parents of teenagers do we have in here? You didn't even want to be here tonight, but they're not here, so you're good. Right? I told Nancy one day, I said, you know what? Raising teenagers is like running a free hotel and everyone's always griping about the service. It's always driving an Uber, you never get paid and you're always getting bad reviews. Anybody? Yeah. You know, and everybody's like, oh, it just goes by so fast. I'm like, good. Love my kids, but it can get a little bit crazy, can it? And then we have these things that come up that we didn't see coming. You know, we get a doctor's report that scares us. You know, we get a bill for the car we did not see coming. You know, we get, well, in-laws. And that'll knock a marriage right down, right there. Right? You get in the middle of all this and you wonder, where are we? And here's the question. Why is it for some couples in the midst of this, despite of this, even because of all this, they seem to be doing great? And for other of us, we hit one area and we fall apart. What's the difference? Here we want to ask a really basic question tonight because we want you to laugh your head off tonight, want you to have a great time, but we also want you to walk in here feeling just a little bit more empowered, a little bit more hopeful about your marriage. So let's ask a really basic question. What does it take to have a great marriage? Now we hear this a lot. Marriage takes a lot of hard. You know what? And who got married for that? Nobody came in and goes, oh, Dad, I've met the most beautiful girl and she's completely passive aggressive. Can't wait to dive in there and work that out. Right? And what do we not want to do at the end of the day of hard work? Work some more. And no one tells people what it means anyway. You walk up to you see people, they've just got their $5,800 ring, They're all happy and delighted and just, oh, we're gonna do life together forever. And somebody walks up to him and goes, that's all good and well, but you should know, marriage, it takes a lot of hard work. It's like walking up to him and going, hey, marriage, it feels like a really bad disease. Right? And we don't even know what this means. We don't tell them what it means because we really don't know what does it take to have a great marriage. A lot of people say this, compatibility. We are just so compatible. We took this really fancy test online and it said we're the perfect one, right? And some of us are going, hey, when we met, we didn't take no test. I'm not sure that's fair. But we see this and we see the eHarmony commercials and everybody's twirling around and we're not twirling and we're wondering, here's the thing, I'm cool with people finding each other through compatibility. It's just not strong enough to hold up, right? There's just days when we're not compatible. There are things that we will not understand about each other until Jesus takes us home. And when this is it, it's too weak, it doesn't hold it up. It's not strong enough. What does it take to have a great marriage? Oh, we hear this a lot. Ooh, we just got the best chemistry. Ooh, you remember then? You were talking at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Hey, you hang up. Because when you do it, it's cuter. Okay. And now we can't get them to pick up. We hear it's chemistry. It turns out that they've done a lot of brain research on people when they're in the infatuation stage, when they're at this phase. And it turns out that chemistry, exactly what you have. One of the tests that they do, they will run people through an MRI machine while showing them a picture of the one they love. And what happens is crazy. The frontal lobe, which is where all long-term reasoning and logic lives, greatly decreases in activity. While simultaneously 3 areas of the brain light up like a Christmas tree. And it's the same 3 areas of the brain that lights up when someone uses cocaine. So when you met and fell in love, you weren't really in love, you were stoned. And then the frontal lobe checks back in. Christmas tree dims a little bit, and you're like, what just happened? I talked another human into living with me forever. Yeah, but people start going, oh, I've lost that love and feeling something. We don't feel the ooey gooey. I've lost that love and feeling. Whoa, whoa. That love and feeling. Now it's gone. Whoa, whoa, whoa. People in their 20s are going, what's happening? You just have to watch Tom Cruise's new movie, Top Gun. Watch that and you'll know. Yeah, it's chemistry, but there's no wonder that speaking of Tom Cruise, because this is what? I call it Jerry Maguire marriage. What is the number 1 line in that movie? I love it. Women are always, you complete me. Men are like, show me the money. Yeah, you complete me. The problem is we were never designed to complete anybody. He tried it 3 times and he's Tom Cruise, couldn't make it work. Too much. Yeah, and then I call what I call the Bruno Mars marriage. See, there's no reason of course there's a reason we think there's chemistry because we hear it in every movie, every song, and this is the marriage where you feel like you're doing a lot more than your spouse. From grenade, I catch a grenade for ya. Because that's effective. Throw my hand on a blade for ya. I would jump in front of a train. Yeah, you know I'd do anything. I would go through all this pain, take a bullet straight right through my brain. Yes, I would die for you, baby. But you won't do the same. Because she, unlike you, is not a psychopath. But that's what we hear, that's what we learn, so we think it's ooey gooey, and it doesn't feel ooey gooey, we feel like something's wrong. What does it take to have a great marriage? We hear this one like, communication. Some of you just went, is he about to make you talk to me? Even though you don't want to? That's gonna be awesome. The problem with communication, and it's important, but we make such a big deal about it. And here's the problem with it. A lot of times in marriage, you have one that really likes to communicate, and then you have husbands. And so that can be difficult. Too much truth? Yeah. No, at our house, it's role reversal. I'm the one that likes to talk, and she's the one that would rather be hit in the head with a baseball bat. But communication, we put so much emphasis on it and talking it all out and figuring it all in. We can just talk our way to connection. And sometimes that works, and a lot of times it's just a lot of words. And if this is the answer for a lot of us, that's kind of scary. So what does it take to have a great marriage? Here is what I've found to be true after doing this for a really, really long time, is this. It takes intentional words. And you said, you just said it wasn't communication. I'm not talking about listening skills. I'm talking about how we are talking to each other in the midst of all these things. What kind of words are we using when we're talking about chores, when we're talking about kids, when we're talking about money, when we're talking about time, when we're talking about in-laws? What is our voice? What is our tone? How are we doing this? Because you watch the marriages that really work, really sing, they get this because they're careful with their words. And you watch the ones that break up, it's because their words are the very thing that pops up when they're angry. And I thought when I first got married that I knew the answer to marriage, a successful marriage, was going to be sex. And then I realized if there was ever going to be any sex, I was going to have to figure out this words thing. We had been married minutes. And she walks into the mirror. We had one mirror in the whole little apartment. And I'm in the mirror shaving. And she walks in and she does that thing that she's been doing to marriage ever since I've known her, where she'll back herself up to it. And she'll spin her head around at 180 degrees. And then she'll look at the back of herself. I've never seen the back of me. And I call it the owl. And have since learned that the owl is followed with a question. A question that seems to be designed to get me killed. The question was, do you think these pants look too tight? I was young, and stupid, and was not in tune with the Holy Spirit when Jesus whispered to me, lie. You know what this idiot said? You think these pants look too tight? Yeah, kind of. That was the wrong answer. Yeah, kind of led to a lot of tears that day. In fact, she almost cried at one point. It was a big deal. And I started learning that day what I know for sure today is it only takes a few words to take our relationship in a direction that we don't want it to go. Things like this. Is this what you're wearing? No, these are my practice clothes. It hurts, doesn't it? It hurts. Yeah. And then there's those times where you've done something wrong and you really don't know what it is. And you venture in to find out. Hey, what's wrong? And what do we get? I'm with my people. Nothing. Which is always followed up with nothing. I love you guys. And here's what we all know this translates into something, you're an idiot. It only takes a few words, and then there's this atomic bomb of marriage. You are just like your mom. How many moms? Raise your hands, moms. After all you do. And this gets the woo. It's not fair. Accurate, but not fair. And then, we'll say something, our spouse will say something, we'll say, are you sure? You're like, yeah, I'm sure, I know some things, yeah. And they go, I'm gonna Google that. And I trust, a search engine way more than my soulmate. And then, of course, there's sex, and we get, hey, you wanna, what was their thing? Pat and Shelley? What was their thing? They couldn't get it figured out? Get it on? Yeah, you wanna get it on? And you get, not tonight. Not this week. If you do your chores, maybe next month. And second thought, what you got going on leap year? Yeah, but think how delicate it is. And here's the mystery. Why do we say the things we don't want to say? and not say the things we do. Because we don't get up in the morning, most of us, going, how can I make this a really bad day for everybody by saying this? We don't do that. And if I were to say, do you want to speak words of life and encouragement? We say, yes, then why do we not do this? I landed on this one piece of scripture that I thought, isn't it just like God to make things this clear and this easy, this quick? And he says this in Proverbs 12:18. Careless words stab like a sword. Careless words stab like a sword. We say, oh, we're too sensitive to words. We've always been sensitive to word. God has hardwired in us that words really, really matter to us. And here's the deal. A stabbing is an event. You know, we say these things and people can remember it and you go, gosh, my spouse keeps this filing drawer of this. But we remember those things. We remember those words. A stabbing is an event. But the great news is there is a comma. Careless words stab like a sword, but wise words lead to healing. Think about God's economy on this. The very thing that we have used to hurt our spouse, to stab our spouse, words, is the very thing that God wants to use to heal our spouse. Words. That we say the right things, all of a sudden it starts to heal those wounds. I was very verbally abused as a kid. I married a woman who has spoken very careful words, very wise words into that, and it has healed those wounds. And it's a beautiful thing, but here's the thing. A stabbing is an event. Healing is a process, and process is slow. You know, and that's why we don't get a big response. When we say the right things, we don't get a big response. My wife told me I was the first person to ever tell her she's beautiful. So I tell her all the time, you're so beautiful. She'll go, thank you. I'm like, no, I need you to understand you're so beautiful. Thank you. And one day I went, I really need you to know how beautiful I think you are. Do I tell you too much? Because it doesn't seem to really matter to you. And she goes, oh no, I love it. I'm like, could you alert your face? But see, I was almost thinking about stopping because I didn't think it mattered, but it wasn't that it didn't matter, it was that it didn't get a big reaction because it's in a process. And ladies, we are the worst. Husbands are the worst. You'll say something that means so much to us. You'll thank you for working so hard for this family. You're such a good dad. And the response you get is, so you go, I don't guess it matters to him. His insides are doing like this. But it doesn't feel like it matters to him. But trust me, it matters to him, but it's a slower process. So how do we start saying the things that we want to and stop saying the things we do? This same passage shows us how. So we have to be slow. If careless words stab like a sword, we gotta be slow. We gotta learn how to slow this thing down. Every radio station in the country has a 7-second delay to keep offensive things from going out into airwaves. I am convinced if we could figure out how to install one of those, whoo, that'd be great, wouldn't it? We'd all be millionaires, right? We gotta learn when to be slow. Counselors say it's during times of halt, when we're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. It's when we typically are not saying the things that we need to say. So when's that time that you're not slow? We gotta be slow, but we can't be silent. Some of the most hurtful things are the things that are never said. We've gotta say those things. Some of you guys are going, or maybe ladies going, I'm just not good with words. Put it on a Post-it note, write it in lipstick on the mirror, just not the good kind, you'll get in trouble. But we start to say those things. Just do it in the way that you know how. We can't be silent, and we have to be smart. It's wise words to lead to healing. The same book of the Bible says that flattery is evil, so it's gotta be the right words. We've gotta say things like this, guys. We gotta say, you are beautiful. And you know what, ladies, guys wanna hear it too. We just wanna hear it in a different way. You're hot. And here's the great thing about men. We don't even have to be hot, but if you tell us we're hot, we'll believe you. Right? Another study shows that men are always insecure about their job. It doesn't matter what the economy's doing, doesn't matter how great they're doing at work, they're always a little bit insecure about their job. So ladies, here's your homework. 5 times this week, I want you to take your hand, I want you to cup your hand, I want you to come up behind him, and I want you to pat him on the butt, and I want you to go, boom, you got this. I'm not kidding you, Leaf whelps, you got this. Because he's wondering, he needs to hear it. He needs to hear it from you. I taught this at a women's conference in Alabama. I'm not thinking they're having me back. But I did see pastor's wife come up behind pastor and goes, you got this. This matters to us, ladies. Ladies, I love you, but you make marriage way too complicated. You're always like, I wonder what he's thinking. We're not. We're not thinking anything. But we're so easy. We're so easy to manipulate. Just talk to us like we're a dog. Oh, you did such a good job. Oh, yes, you did. Yes, you did. Do you need a snack? Do you need a snack? It's funny because it's true, right, guys? You just tell us. Stop talking to us like we're a dog and talk to us like we're a dog. Yeah. And those of us who like sex more than others, try to say this. Those are the most healing words of all. You know? Just say yes. And I know why this is difficult. In marriage, you've typically got one that's like a microwave. Sex, ding, ready. And then you've got people who are more like crock pots. You like it just as much, it just takes you a little bit longer to warm up to the idea. Some of you are going, forget sex, where do I get one of those crock pots? That thing's fantastic. Here's what you gotta do. You gotta figure out how to turn on the crock pot. So that's what I'll do. I'll text Nancy, how you doing? And it turns on the crock pot. You just gotta figure that out. This is gonna be worth the price of admission right here, okay? If they ask and you're just not quite ready, you just say, hey, no for now, not no to you, no for now, and yes for fill in the blank. As long as the microwaves know that they're gonna be popping later, we're good. How many of you are married to a dreamer that's always got crazy great ideas? And you just want them not to? Yeah. This has been floating around this church for a long time. I think John Woodall came up with it. He said, just say, wow. And again, you can be completely condescending. Wow, little buddy. Wow, not how. If he, hey, let's turn the house into a convertible. The hydraulics are never gonna work. Don't do that. For us creative types, you know, ideas are like squirrels. They jump from branch to branch. They don't ever land. We don't ever implement anything. Why are you getting so excited? Just go, wow, not how. How many moms, they need to hear this, right? You're a great mom. You're a great mom. You're a great grandmother. You're great at loving our family. You're a great dad. I'd had a discussion with one of our teenagers and it didn't go well. Nancy walked in. She goes, I just want you to know that you are a great dad and I don't like him either. We need to hear this stuff, people. The number one time couples are fighting is when they reconnect at the end of the day. Just say this, I'm glad you're home. We're fighting at the end of the day because we walk in, oh, my day was terrible. You think your day was terrible. You ought to have seen my day. What if we made this great? Here's a way to make this great. This week, when you reconnect at the end of the day, don't even say a word. Just make out for 30 seconds. Unless the kids are watching. Then make out for 60. We got to get them to move out somehow, right? I say, get them out, you gross them out. I'm glad you're home. We can do this. See, people talk about marriage being so complicated. I've been staring at this thing for a really long time, and we've just forgotten the basics. I had a friend of mine, a psychologist. He said, Ted, we've convinced a generation that a group of PhDs have all the answers to marriage, and somehow the average Joe and Sue have to extract those answers. He said, we've just forgotten the basics, like how we talk to each other. It's so important. Our words are so important. We got to be slow. We got to be smart, but can't be silent. Everybody can do this. Everybody. Because we are the boss of us. You're the boss of you. We get to choose, right? Because I think sometimes we think we're in this cultural swirl that says that women have to be nags and men have to be relational idiots. And that's not true at all. God said relationships, marriage looks so great. It's supposed to reflect the relationship between Christ and the church. This should be great. They should be our best buddy. We should be on each other's team, and it's how we talk to each other that depends on this so much. Marriage is too complicated. We've made it too complicated, and our words can get us back on track almost every single time. And here's what I know. Some of you, you're married to somebody that maybe this hasn't been great for them, and they're gonna try to make a move in your direction with some kind words. You are to receive it. That is your instruction. You just receive it. I hear this a lot of people. You're only doing it because he told you to. Who cares the motive? He's making a move toward you. Receive that. I'll close with this. Our oldest one, when he first got his driver's license, the state of Georgia decided that after 2.3 miles that my son should be able to drive in the state of Georgia. What a bunch of idiots. I thought, I don't think he's great at this, but I'm just a worried dad, right? First driver in the house, I'm just being too worried. He calls me 2 weeks in and he's had an accident and he's crying. And he goes, Dad, it's bad. I said, are you okay? He goes, yeah, I think I'm okay, but he tells me where he is. I drive up and I don't know what I think I'm gonna drive up to, but the scene was way bigger. There was an ambulance, there's a fire truck, There were 2 police cars there, and his truck was about 60 yards off the road, totally messed up, and he's crying. And you know when you see your big kid cry, you can see them like, they look like they did on that 4 or 5, and it just breaks your heart. He goes, Daddy, I'm just so sorry. I'm so sorry. I said, buddy, I don't care. You're okay. They make these every day. You're not gonna get one, but they make them every day. No, it's one of those things that a parent never wants to feel, and I didn't feel like I was handling it great, and there was insurance and all these different things, and he was upset, and we didn't know when to let him drive, if we ever gonna let him drive again. It was just kind of a rough time. And Nancy sent me this text, and yes, I always have to clear this up. I call her Pug. Started off as Puddin', evolved to Pug. And she sends me this text. Thank you for being the rock through this. You may not feel it on the inside, but that is all that is showing on the outside. Muscle, finger pointing to muscle, muscle. This is when I say marriage is not complicated, because that's all I needed. That's all I needed to make me feel like the rock. I thought, okay, I can do this. She believes in me. That's all I needed to hear. And what was my big event-like response that this meant so much to me? Thanks, babe. But we got to keep doing it. And we can do it. It's the little things. It's the little things. And I know some of you have not heard another word I said because you want to know what this says. I know you people. Let's just say I was turning on the crock pot. Hey, Pug, you want to play penguins later? Thank you, God bless, and good night.